Hey, what's up guys, Somebody here. We're back with another episode. Sundowns edging closer to the knockout. Orlando Pirates hungry for the derby. And is Arthur's one too comfortable? Gotta talk about it. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
CAF Champions League match day 2. Sundowns playing their second game. Played against Cotton Sport, winning that one 3-1. A massive away victory, I gotta tell you. The way that they handled this game was impressive. You know, when you look at Cotton Sport, one thing they had is that they had physicality and they had pace. But if there's one thing that they were missing, that I think Sundowns had in abundance, were ball players. Simple, ball players. Players that can carry the ball. Players that can move with the ball. Players that can play that passing range as well. And Sundowns had that, controlling the game within the midfield, especially in the second half. You know, first half, they got all the goals that they needed to get. And then second half, they just managed the tempo. They moved it as slowly as they wanted to move it. And there's two players that I just want to give a shout out to. You know, first one in midfield was captain on the day, Marumo Gallants. I mean, key in midfield. I mean, his whole season for me has been sublime. You know, he's replacing Untitled. And Untitled, what he was to Mamelodi Sundowns, he's still there, he's still on the bench. But when you put a player of that stature on the bench, you can imagine what type of performances that you have to put out. Deep-lying playmaker as well. He's just able to move the ball from defense into the midfield. And also defensively. I mean, we've always known him to be someone with an attack, someone who can play those passes, someone who's very good with free kicks as well. But defensively, I mean, he can put a slide in if he has to. You know, he can put a slide in, he can defend as well. And he's become so important to this Sundowns team. And I'll tell you why. If you can look at right there on screen, look at that. 24 starts this season for the Marumo Gallants. He has started the most games in this current Mamelodi Sundowns side. And right behind him, Mudau, Mayema, Zwane, and as well as Williams. Williams is a goalkeeper. But when an outfield player is starting more games than a goalkeeper, you can already imagine how important he is to the side. Durable, endurance, never gets tired. And the funny thing is when you watch Sundowns throughout the season, Rulani does rotate. You know, he does rotate, but if there's one player he is not rotating, it's Marumo Gallants, and he definitely deserves these flowers. Second player, Kaizer Malula. I mean, what a revelation this season. I'm so happy for him. I'm happy when a young player comes into the side and he's able to score goals. You know, he's becoming more effective. And even his all-round gameplay, never mind the goals, but his all-round gameplay is becoming a lot better. The way he times his runs, the way he picks those pockets, you know, the way that he holds up the ball. I mean, it's absolutely lovely. He had 2 goals against Cotton Sport, and one of them, one-on-one, he's finishing. I mean, his finishing is also getting better. And you know what's funny? I never thought ever there would be a time where I watch Mamelodi Sundowns and I think they don't need Peter Shaulile. I'm not saying they don't, but I feel like Peter Shaulile's absence is a little bit less felt. You know, in the past it would have been like, if Shaulile is out, you just sort of think of where are these goals going to come from? And he's been able to do that. Never mind Young Player of the Season, because I think that's in the bag. We're looking at Young Player of the Season without a doubt. But Player of the Season, you know, the overall player of the season, I think that's possible. I think he is a front runner for this award. You know, you look at his numbers, you can see on screen right there. Only Peter Shaulile has outscored this guy this season in all competitions. Only Peter Shaulile has outscored Kaizer Malula. 21 years old. And by the way, just to mention, Peter Shaulile has played more games and more minutes than Kaizer. So what he is doing in terms of goals to game ratio is much better than what Peter Shaulile did. He's got to keep his head grounded, that's for sure. But I think Sundowns will definitely have the plan there to keep him that way. So much more for him to achieve. And you boys, Sundowns, let's go on to that knockout stages. Marumo Gallants as well, involved in CAF action, CAF Confederations Cup, playing their second game, winning against FC Saint from Congo. I mean, brilliant, you know, the way that they're taking these games within Africa is only going to boost their confidence. If you look at the table right there for them, they are top of it. They're sitting right there top, they're scoring goals for fun. And I'm happy for them because they've got one more CAF game to play before they head back to the league. And if they can use these games to score goals and also pick up their confidence, you can only imagine what side is going to come back within the league. So for South Africa, flying the flag right up high. Back to DSTV Premiership action. Orlando Pirates getting another win over Maritzburg United, and as well as their former coach, Fadlu Davids. Thing is, you watch that performance, I don't think that performance was flawless. I don't think it was like the most perfect performance or a very great performance. But it was good because they were clinical in front of goal. More clinical than what Maritzburg United was. Every time they had a chance, they took it. They even also, you would say, they created their own luck. That Saleng goal, he shoots it from outside the box. I mean, of course, the Maritzburg goalkeeper should have done a lot better. But if you do not play the ticket for the lotto, you hardly ever win. That's for sure. And a plus side for Orlando Pirates is the fact that they've got this man who's in the form of his life, Monapule Saleng. Amazing confidence. You know, you saw that dribble he did on the side. I mean, wow. The trickery as well that he's got going on. He's dragging this team. He's really dragging this team on to victories as well. And his left foot, such a wand. It's like it just works out the magic, that's for sure. You know, you always watched Orlando Pirates over the years and you thought, okay, you know, Thembinkosi Lorch, great player, amazing. He's had amazing moments where he's had to carry the side, even almost pushing Orlando Pirates to silverware as well, more silverware that they have at this current moment. And you always ask yourself, who was next? You know, they have to find a next because Thembinkosi Lorch is hardly playing games. He's hardly fit as well. And looks like they do have their next. And that is Saleng because he keeps getting better. Look at these numbers this season. 16 games played, 9 goals scored, 4 assists. That's 13 goal involvements in 16 games. I mean, he's got end product as well. And that's the one thing I love. When a South African player has got end product, that's great. It's not just the tricks and flicks. He knows how to pass a ball and he knows how to put it in the back of the net as well. And this is a great story here. It's a great story. Why? Because, you know, Orlando Pirates purchased him from Free State Stars when he was playing in the Mutsipa Championship. And he was the top goal scorer for it. And when he came in, you can just imagine he had to be told to go out on loan to Swallows. Now you're sort of thinking, you know, is he good enough for the side? Is he not? He goes to Swallows. They struggle a little bit. He tried his best. You're not sure if necessarily there's a player there. But he's definitely got this pace that frightens as well. He comes back and Jose sees something. He sees something that Mandla as well as Fadlu were not able to see. And he's been able to use his weapons just the right way. And also, we're talking about Cassius Malula being the player of the season or a contender for player of the season. I can tell you something right now. If there's an Orlando Pirates player that's going to rival him, it's definitely this one. Do I think that they can finish top 2? You're damn right they can. Fantastic game we saw in Polokwane. 5 goals were scored. Character from one team and arrogance from another. Golden Arrows coming back from behind twice to beat Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, they showed belief, they showed courage. You know, I gave them even a clap on a video as well. And the one thing I have to give credit to Golden Arrows is that they were smart about one thing, and that is running at the defense of Kaizer Chiefs, especially down that right-hand side. There was a weakness about Ngizana, and there was a weakness about also Kwenika as well. Just if they ever put under pressure this defense of Kaizer Chiefs, they just crumble for whatever reason. You know, Edmilson Dover was not able to make it. He had flu, but I could not believe the fact that if you take Edmilson Dover out that side, how vulnerable that defense looks. It's incredible. And I was also surprised that why Atazwane went with Austin Dube as well. I know he's trying to give everybody a chance. And also the fact that Austin Dube is a left-sided centre-back as well. But Dube hasn't been playing all season. You know, he hasn't been playing much all season. And you need points. You need points. And to throw him in and to have a centre-back pairing that hasn't played a lot with one another, I mean, you're just asking for trouble. And Arrows got the crucial points without a doubt. Amakhosi. You know, I watched that game and I thought, you guys deserve that. Yeah, you guys deserve that. I saw an arrogant Kaizer Chiefs every time they took the lead. I saw a Kaizer Chiefs that was complacent as well. Somehow they dipped their tempo when they took the lead. I didn't understand that. And when they were leading, there were times that Mdudu Shabalala could have scored, could have at least passed. And Sahil as well could have also done the same thing too. Not necessarily that way. Look at these numbers. These numbers are very interesting that I saw. This season, Kaizer Chiefs have already conceded 24 goals. And there's still 10 games left to play. Last season, they only conceded 26. So at this current moment as it stands, Kaizer Chiefs are 2 goals behind. They tally from last season, the whole of last season within the league. I mean, if Atazwane doesn't fix this, doesn't fix the fact that they're conceding so many goals, he might just be in trouble. And now what's next? The Soweto Derby. This is huge for Atazwane. Huge, huge, huge. We saw some pictures over social media where police had to escort him. And it's not something that I want. I don't ever want fans to sort of exude violence to try and put fear within Atazwane. That's not the right way to go about it. There's different ways to go about it. Why is this game so important? Number one, he finds himself not far away from other teams. 1 point ahead of Sekhukhune United, 2 points ahead of Galaxy and as well as Cape Town City, and 3 points ahead of Royal AM and Arrows. So this inconsistent form has found other teams catching up to Kaizer Chiefs. So now you find that if he does lose more games, Kaizer Chiefs might only not finish 5th, but they might finish 10th. They might finish outside the top 8. That's a huge possibility. Number 2, fans are losing confidence. I mean, it's very clear. Fans are losing confidence within him as well. And to be fair, I mean, I'm not going to say all the problems are just solely down to him, but some of the decisions that Atazwane is making, you got to sort of question it, man. You got to question it. The Austin Dube thing, he hasn't played a lot. And why throw him in? I just did not understand that as well. And number 3, I don't think Atazwane is as safe as he thinks he is. You know, he comes after games and he says we threw it away. But it's almost as if like the way he talks like as if like, no, don't worry, I'm going to be here for some time. And I'm just thinking like, I don't think like that, man. You know, do not think you are here for the long haul. Because one thing that we can be honest about is that this current squad that he does have is better than the position that they find themselves in. If they lose this game against Orlando Pirates, I mean, never mind the bragging rights, but the fact that where they could end up on league position as well. And to be fair, whenever it comes to a derby, form goes out the window. I don't think Chiefs were playing particularly too well before they faced Orlando Pirates in the first derby that they played within the league, and they managed to win that one. This one, there's a chance for Kaizer Chiefs, but Orlando Pirates definite favourites for me, and I'm looking forward to it. AmaZulu announced a new 3-year contract for their coach, Romain Folz. Unfortunately, they were not able to celebrate with a win as TS Galaxy went to them and beat them 2-1. A game in which that Galaxy took their chances, that's for sure. Let's look at Romain Folz's record at this current moment for AmaZulu. 16 games played, 3 wins, 8 draws, 4 losses. 14 goals scored and 15 goals conceded. I mean, I look at that record and I'm thinking, does that allow for 3 years? You know, a new 3-year contract? I mean, wow. Because it's definitely not a great record, that's for sure. Sanle Zungu has spoken highly of him. I mean, in an interview where he also did say that he is better than Benny McCarthy in his eyes, or a better choice than Benny McCarthy within his eyes. And in the statement, it read that they've got a Vision 2032, and that is to win the league. And when I'm looking at it, that's about, 8-9 years that AmaZulu is going to try and win the league. But what was very interesting as well in that same statement is that they mentioned top 4 is very crucial. But where they currently find themselves is in the bottom half of the table. So, I mean, what happens if he does not achieve top 4 this season, like after just announcing that he gets 3 years? So I look at all this, I put it all together, put the eggs, put the butter, cook it up, and I'm thinking, what am I looking at? I think they're writing off the season. That's what I think. I think they're saying the season is done. Whatever happens, it is what it is. We're going to start planning from next season. And because, to be fair with Romain Folz, he didn't start off from the start of the season. And you would argue that maybe some of these players are not his players. So they're probably going to start from next season to say, okay, now we're starting better and let's see what we can do. But I also do think that this is the club also admitting that maybe they made a mistake. They made a mistake with Benny McCarthy. I think so. I think they look back and if they could do things differently, I think Benny McCarthy would still be at the club. Especially when you're seeing what he's doing to Marcus Rashford. I mean. Lucky thing for them is when you look at the numbers, top 8 is still there for them. They can still make top 8. But top 4, I don't think so. But for them, I think they're going to start afresh, only from next season. The DSTV Diski Challenge, the Reserve League, for those who ask, It's a reserve league where teams can play youth, can play the youngsters there, develop them there. Orlando Pirates took on Sekhukhune United over this past weekend, a game in which they won, no doubt. Played really well. But it's the way they won that started creating a lot of conversation on social media. There were players dancing on the ball, the way they were trying to make their opponents look silly, the first thing I thought when I first saw that video was, do people still think that's cool? Like, is that cool to be, to be dancing like that and not to progress the ball, but we're just dancing just to humiliate the opponent? There's a way to win with class, guys. There's a way to win with class. You look at how Sundowns is doing it. They perform the rondos. They keep the ball, possession. They outscore opponents as well. And that's how you can do it. You don't have to get a ball and dance on it while it's standing right there. When it was done in the Phillies games, I looked at that and I thought, I couldn't knock it too much because I thought that was the space. There's some players playing within that setting that won't become professional one day. It's meant to entertain people that have come to the stadiums. And I look at the DDC. The DDC is more of a professional setting. It's more the setting where you're supposed to be feeding clubs with youngsters who've got talent. And I just didn't like it because I thought it lacked professionalism. I thought it lacked sportsmanship as well. You look at players like Kaizer Mamelodi as well as Mduduzi Shabalala, who've been able to use that platform to become something of themselves. Players that we rant and rave about in today's time. And when you talk about the history of South African football, Dr. Khumalo, from what I saw of him, and even in his documentary, he was not doing that. Steve Lekole, he was not doing that either. Ronaldinho, you watch him and you think, even though if it was flamboyant, he held himself in high standard, in high regard. So to the players of Orlando Pirates, the youngsters, and as well as every other player playing in the DDC, you guys are better than that. Because I watched that and I think to myself, that's definitely not within my South African football heritage. It's time for our weekly bet of the week. The purpose of this segment is to show you my bet slip in hopes that it helps yours light and green. The more accurate, the more cash you get. Let's get into it. Before we get started, I just want to show you guys how my weekend went. I took a risky bet and came off. Thank you so much, Liverpool. This week, Champions League, Europa League. These are my selections. Frankfurt going up against Napoli. I've gone at over 2.5 goals. I think Napoli will score lots of goals. Liverpool versus Real Madrid again. I've gone with Liverpool to win or Madrid to win and over 1.5 goals. So double chance and as well as over 1.5 goals. Inter against Porto. I've gone at over 1.5 goals. Red Bull Leipzig and as well as Manchester City have gone with over 1.5 goals. And Manchester United against Barcelona, I think another classic is coming and I've gone with over 2.5 goals. My odds 8.36. Yes, so I can times my money back 8 times. 500 into 4.5 and those are my selections. That is Bet of the Week, sponsored by Betway. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Until the next one, all the best. We've come to the end of the show. Can we get our Soweto Derby predictions in, guys? Mine, Orlando Pirates 2, Kaizer Chiefs 1. And for you that's watching, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.